Sullivan's defensive plan was a topic of conversation on Saturday night because, he didn't demote Brian Dumoulin, and I'm going to write a story about this, I promise.
Take your time.
He didn't demote Brian Dumoulin, but he did show that they're trying to protect his minutes. Now, that's not something that I would have imagined. Again, this is Mike Sullivan. There's a reason he's getting paid to be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins for the next 5 seasons. He started with the original pairings in that game. But then midway through the first, you saw, okay, P.O. Joseph now playing with Letang. Dumoulin gets demoted. Okay, maybe we thought it was because of the bad turnover that created a 3-on-2 opportunity for the Seattle Kraken. Dumoulin just gave the puck away in the offensive zone. I thought that's what it was. And then second period starts. Brian Dumoulin's back up on the top unit. Halfway through that period, Marcus Pettersson goes up there and plays with Chris Letang. And then Dumoulin gets the full period with Letang in the third. So what you realize is Brian Dumoulin finished with 19 minutes and 15 seconds of ice time. That is his first time under 20 minutes since the second game of the season. And the problem with that being, in the first and second games of the season, the only other times Dumoulin was under 20 minutes, there was 6 and 4 power plays for the Penguins, respectively. That's why he was under 20 minutes. Not because he was getting sheltered minutes, but because they were on the power play so goddamn much that he wasn't out on the ice. So in this instance, Penguins got 3 power play opportunities. Brian Dumoulin is getting sheltered on the ice for the first time this season. It's not the demotion that everybody was calling for, but I can see why they're doing this. And there's 2 reasons why, and it could be a combination of both. It could be one or the other or a combination. Either it's loyalty. Listen, Brian Dumoulin started playing really well and started being very effective once Mike Sullivan was made the head coach of the Penguins back in 2016. So maybe there's loyalty there, and maybe Chris Letang is stepping up to the bat for the guy that's been alongside him for the past half decade plus. There might be loyalty there, which I get because that's this team, but it also might be because Mike Sullivan doesn't want to burn that option. He doesn't want to burn the option of Brian Dumoulin on the first pairing this early in the season. Because what happens if P.O. Joseph or Marcus Pettersson go up there and they don't work out? What are you left with if you're the Pittsburgh Penguins? So I can understand why maybe you try to shelter his minutes in this creative way, which hats off to Sullivan. I wouldn't have thought to do it. But if it is for those reasons, and I think it might be a combination of both, for loyalty and for fear of what could be happening if they don't, that's not a good thing for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I mean, where does that leave you?
You don't want a carousel. It's not at all. That's exactly what it is. You want to give, maybe you want to demote Dumoulin down a line, put Pettersson up a line. That doesn't work out. Okay, now we're carouseling. Okay, P.O. Joseph's turn. Everyone else goes somewhere. You can't just keep taking turns. That's the other part of it. You don't want to keep filtering guys in and out. But at the same time, when you look around the league, sometimes there are inexperienced players on top units with veterans. I think back to, I forget who it was, but I forget the player specifically. But I can remember Drew Doughty was playing with a rookie for a minute, I think, in LA. I forget who it was specifically, but he ended up staying there for a couple seasons. That's a veteran playing with a rookie. That doesn't normally happen on the first line. Now, I don't know how good or bad the team was that year. I don't really remember. I just kind of remember seeing Drew Doughty's playing with that guy. That's interesting. But it's been working out. So sometimes you need that new sort of blood and that new face, that new style to go along with your veteran player like Chris Letang. So I think the option would be to go P.O. Joseph and demote Dumoulin. But again, you're mentioning loyalty. You're totally right. And as a matter of fact, this is loyalty that stems back a few years because you have to remember Jim Rutherford was the general manager of the Carolina Hurricanes when we traded for him.
Yeah.
So even whenever Jim Rutherford came over, there was that extra sense of loyalty there for him. So this is loyalty that's been spanning a couple years and at many different levels of this team. On the ice with Chris Letang as his wingmate, behind the bench as Mike Sullivan as his guy, and then formally up top, but could still be around up top, that little sense there in the general manager's booth with Jim Rutherford. So it's a matter of losing that loyalty. You know, these guys will preach all they want. Oh, it's a business. Act like it. I was saying it this summer. If you think it's a business, act like it. Let it be a business. Now, you know, whenever I was saying it over summer, it was If Letang and Wall can walk, let them walk because it's a business. You're going to act like it. Well, guess what? They're still here. And now you're gonna keep saying it's a business. Act like it. Take Dumoulin off the first line. It's what's best for business.
Well, I do understand the second part of what I said in that fear, because if something happens where you do switch it and you say, all right, we're burning that option, Brian Dumoulin on the top pairing doesn't work, and then P.O. Joseph doesn't work, then Marcus Pettersson doesn't work. Again, what are you left with? And I also understand your point, and you don't want to be shuffling D lines and D pairings like this all the time mid-game. Like, you don't want to do that, but at the same time, if you can't get that first D pairing to perform better, what difference does it make? Because at that point, you're not going to win games anyway with Chris Letang playing the way that he has. And if that's because he's anchored by Dumoulin and you're not quite ready to burn that bridge this early in the season, we're less than 20% of the way through the season. So if you're not ready to burn that bridge and you want to do something like this, my only ask is you keep it consistent. And what you saw there was halfway through the first period, Dumoulin was removed, POJ was up. Exactly halfway through the second period, Dumoulin was removed, Pettersson was moved up. So that brunt of the load there was also shared. And then in the third period, it was Dumo Letang. Maybe that's to keep Dumoulin having his legs. Maybe that's to prioritize penalty kill time because of how bad that unit is. I don't know why they're doing it, but I don't hate the defensive plan as long as you can remain consistent in that deployment the way you did. It's not ideal, but again, if the Penguins' top unit is not performing, it doesn't make a difference regardless.